punchline, I'll tell you the punchline first. I hope you stay for the talk. But the punchline is that it's actually exactly the same things that we need to do for ourselves, for our own selfish reasons, for wanting a healthy, stable, happy, well life, and that we need to do for the environment. And that is an amazing thing to know, isn't it? You know, just take that one away and think about it. The things that we need to do to actually get through this century and beyond. And one of my ambitions in my life is to know that my grandchild will have grandchildren. And it's not just enough that I've got a grandchild. It's quite emotional, that one, isn't it? But to know that there's going to be sufficient vitality in the world for him to also have that pleasure in the future. So how do we claim back for ourselves that which is natural, and in the process kind of improve our acts as human beings, become fully human rather than badly fed humans? Did you know, here's some facts for you, it takes roughly 12 times the resources, and that's water, land, power, transport, to provide food from animals. That's the milk products, the meat, the eggs and the poultry, than it does to get it from plant food, plant sources. And we could actually feed the world 7 times over with vegan food and 12 times over with raw vegan food, or at least a good proportion of it. And I'm not somebody who's going around saying thou shalt never touch another animal. I mean, I know there's, for example, here in Stroud we've got a micro dairy, and I think they've got meat as well, haven't they, where that's raw milk from local fields, it's biodynamic, it's organic. Maybe some level of having creatures around is a part of things that some people want. But do we need the huge quantities? But if you look at us, you know, do I actually look like a carnivore? Could I run down a zebra and catch it? Have I got big fangs for catching things? Have I got claws? No. I actually don't have physiology for being a carnivore. I have a very long digestive system. I can't remember, it was supposed to be the length of a cricket pitch or something, isn't it, if you stretch it out? I seem to vaguely remember that from school, but it's an incredibly long tube, and it's covered in nice little furry things, villi, for collecting the nutrients. And a carnivore, you know, like cat family, dog family or whatever, they've got shorter, smoother tracts, so it's in and out, and it doesn't have the same sophisticated, slow biome. You know that word, biome? Yep. That we're actually, we evolved in a synergistic way with the plants. Like we were doing them a favour by moving their seeds around, and they were doing us a favour by producing amazing fruit that we really liked. And that fruit, if you think more sloes and cranberry type things, we've hybridised, we've created the high sugar ones. I don't mean that they were necessarily off their faces for all those millions of years on sugar. This wouldn't necessarily have been totally sweet things. They might have been looking for sugar, and they probably find beehives sometimes. But basically, the fruiting body of the plant is hormone rich, and it's hormones that have created our development. So for some people it's bread. Then you've got the problem with gluten and the fact that we have this long digestive tract, and we've been hybridising and hybridising and hybridising the grains till they're stickier and stickier, and you get amazing French bread. Isn't that nice? Fresh baguette in Paris or something, it's gorgeous. But that is actually sticking in corners, and people will actually get black sticky masses of gluten that sticks in them for years. People are carrying a big tummy around. It's not just the fat on the front, it's also what's going on in the belly. And so gluten is a bit of a problem, so better off with a bit of rye. Then you've got, rice is neutral, but if you get to millet, quinoa, buckwheat, none of those are actually true grains, and they are much less acidic in the system. And that's the magic word with diet. Our bodies, through stress, through illness, and through poor diet, tend to be too acidic, and that's the environment that cancer likes to live in, a more acidic environment. And the culprits for that, the big one is sugar, So, you know, if you know anyone who's eating sugar and they've got cancer, you might want to help them out of it and explain that cancer's like eating sugar. Just pull it, and then the appetite gets created for more. So sugar is one. Wheat is not brilliant. Barley and rye, they haven't got so much gluten, so they're a lot easier. Personally, I'm okay with rye. I don't do brilliantly unspelt. This is where you have to start testing yourselves, because we don't have these original bodies from when we were in the rainforest all those millions of years ago. We've all got an individualised body and we need to work with it. Well, for this talk, I did promise you priorities and tips, but for the priorities, I'd say that it's greens. And this kind of makes sense if you look at the world around you, because most of it is green, isn't it? So isn't it quite likely that we've evolved to eat green? In any environment, most of it's green. So African savannas can't have been that easy, can it? Not much green. You know, you'd have to eat the animals. These are snow peas in the bag, and do try one. These are snow pea sprouts. I grow them in trays at home. So you've got sprouted, foraged. You know, this time of year, you've got dandelions, nettles, cleavers, and pretty soon it's going to be the wild garlic season. And I harvested loads last year. Some of it I made into pesto and froze it. Some of it I dried in a dehydrator, and I've got as a powder to sprinkle on things. It's so good, and who needs to buy garlic? You know, we've got woods full of it. Use fresh herbs a lot. They usually, even if you buy them in Waitrose or somewhere, they're not sprayed much because they don't need it. They're so full of essential oils that the creatures don't bother to bite them much. So they don't tend to spray them that much. So use them a lot. They've got so many good qualities. Use a variety. You know, not 3 basil leaves, but I'll buy one of those living pots and I'll put all of it in something or half of it in something, because they've got so many phytonutrients, plant nutrients. Soak your nuts and seeds first. The seeds are a bit like Sleeping Beauty. They've almost turned to stone. They're in suspended animation. If you soak them overnight and rinse them and then use them raw, you've got far more nutrition. It's become bioavailable. Your cells can then take it in. So that's a big saving. You know, that next time you buy a bag of nuts, don't eat it. Take it home and soak them and then eat them. Oh, here's another one. If it's too much eating a big salad, chop it finely, and it doesn't look as much. Honest, and then it doesn't feel as if you're eating this ridiculously. Eat a lot of greens, especially when you can get wild ones too. Bulk buy. Now there's one of the wholesalers, Suma, will deliver to a group of people who are cooperatives of some kind. What's the one we've got up here too? We've got the Stroud Food Hub. Stroud Co. Yeah. So you'll get reduced price food from them as well. And there's various groups around who do that. Use the culinary spices. You know, you've got ginger. We can get fresh ginger, fresh turmeric from Global Organics here, can't we? Throw them in your juice. Use them, grate them and put them in a salad dressing. But it's also worthwhile. Cumin, cardamom, cinnamon. And you don't need to brown them first. If you brown them, some of it's going to go carcinogenic with the overheated oils. You're better off making if you're going to make a cooked curry, make one just with vegetables and water, lentils or whatever goes in your curry, and then stir the spices in, and then glug some nice fresh oil on the top. Still tastes good. And then you haven't wasted. It smells great if you're cooking a curry in a traditional way. People, oh, it's lovely, I can smell garlic, I can smell the spices. That's because all the essential oils are leaving town. They're not going to be there in the pot that you eat. It's appetising, but there's not the same nourishment there. Make food from scratch, that's an obvious one, isn't it? And you actually know what you're eating. Because if you're eating chemicals, they haven't tested these food flavourings to see what combines with what. And those things tend to sit around in your body, and then your energies are being used for immune system and getting things clean and detoxing, rather than having an interesting life. Green juices. The point about them is to drink them in between meals. It's not like having a smoothie, because it's not a meal, is it? I don't have to digest it. my digestive tract hasn't got to squeeze and deal with all of that. So have proper meals, and then in between have juices. People are having smoothie meal. This never gets a proper rest in between.